So what are the Mavericks getting exactly in newly acquired Christian Wood, and what does it mean for future moves this summer for your Dallas Mavericks? This is Inside the Mavs right here on Kevin Gray Sports. My name is Kevin Gray. You can find me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Kevin Gray Sports. Be sure to hit that subscribe button right there for all things Kevin Gray Sports here on YouTube. You can catch you on your home with the Dallas Cowboys and Texas Rangers, 105.3 The Fan, and of course Mavericks Insider for 105.3 The Fan. The Dallas Mavericks making moves, acquiring Christian Wood from the Houston Rockets in exchange for, among others, Boban Marjanovic, Marquise Chris, Trey Burke, and the number 26 overall pick, as the Dallas Mavericks now continue to show that they are not resting on their laurels after making their first Western Conference Final appearance since 2011. The Dallas Mavericks now do not have a pick in the first or second round in this year's NBA draft, but what they do is acquire a 26-year-old forward/center that can stretch the floor from the three-point line, can give you a double-double consistently night in and night out, and while, yes, still has to improve as a defensive player, Christian Wood has a tremendous amount of upside for a team that will continue to improve around Luka Doncic, and now adding a player that can do a lot of different things on both ends of the floor, where, again, he has to improve as a shot blocker, as an overall defender in space, and the kinds of things that you want to see from Sean Sweeney, the defensive coordinator, hopefully going forward for this team, and from Jason Kidd's defensive mindset on how he can improve the interior for this Dallas Mavericks defense. But let's look at it from the totality here. The Dallas Mavericks are able to acquire an expiring contract in Christian Wood, who's making a little over $14 million this year. He'll be an unrestricted free agent at the end of this upcoming season. And now you not only create the space with bringing in Christian Wood and sending out Boban Marjanovic, Trey Burke, Marquise Chris, Sterling Brown, and others, and the 26th overall pick, now you put yourself in position to be able to get even much more creative by the time you get to the trade deadline in this year's upcoming NBA season, if Christian Wood continues to play and improve the way that you believe he can as a member of the Dallas Mavericks. Maybe he gets flipped for a bigger piece down the road. But this gets to the idea of what the Mavericks are doing. And let's say this when it comes to the Dallas Mavericks. You, we, and I now have to seriously take this franchise at its word about their ability to improve. We have to take them seriously that they are going to continue to improve this roster, not only this year, but also into the immediate future. And it signals that this team is ready to win now and in the immediate future, and to find creative ways to improve around Luka Doncic. And that should excite you as a Mavericks fan, knowing what could be still coming for this team, not just for what you've seen in the move of Christian Wood, but what that means possibly for maybe a Goran Dragic, who is going to be available this summer. Do the Mavericks decide to bring him in? Obviously, they're going to be needing 3-and-D help after you saw what happened with Dorian Finney-Smith and Reggie Bullock playing the extended minutes that they did throughout the course of this past postseason. And obviously continuing to bring back a guy in Theo Pinson, who led the bench mob of the Dallas Mavericks. You can see the direction of where this team is going. And again, that is a positive sign if you're a Mavericks fan, knowing, yes, Christian Wood has his defensive deficiencies, but what he does bring on the offensive end is a stretch five with hyper athleticism that can rebound the basketball, can shoot with a little bit of volume from the three-point line, and can provide you versatility when it comes to your five-out offense on the offensive end. And that, to me, is going to be extremely exciting if you're a Mavericks fan, knowing the kind of potential that Christian Wood has playing alongside Luka Doncic, but the versatility that he provides offensively, and more importantly now, having a chance to play in a winning culture with a team that will have a plan for him to get better on the defensive end. You can look no further than Spencer Dinwiddie, who came over from Washington. A terrible situation there with a lack of winning and a lack of a winning culture. He comes to Dallas and begins to flourish, not just because of the attitude change and the culture change that he's experiencing in Dallas, but now he knows what his defined role is. That will be Christian Wood in Dallas. He will have a defined role with an opportunity to learn and play in a winning culture. And yes, it's his seventh team in 7 seasons in the NBA. But at the same time, he now is going to be playing with a franchise that has a dedicated mindset toward winning and will have a plan in place to ensure that he is growing and developing into the type of player that either A, stays around long term, or B, possibly gets moved on to another team, but the value for Christian Wood will be established to where you can be able to flip him for something in terms of a bigger piece down the road. That and all of that in totality is going to be extremely exciting and fascinating going forward for the Dallas Mavericks, and it should not preclude them for obviously what they have to do this summer. Jalen Brunson going to be back into the fold. The Dallas Mavericks own his bird rights. That means they can offer him more years and more money than anyone else out on the open market. And if that's the case, you're bringing back another Jalen Brunson who has tremendous value, not just for this team and what he brings to them and the experience that he has brought now going through a deep playoff run and what that means for him going forward. But that also is another high-level asset that if you decide that at the trade deadline or going into 2023 in the summer, that you could possibly move to try and find a bigger piece. It appears that they're trying to create other avenues to be able to find ways to not only surround Luka Doncic with high-level role players to improve this team, but also have an eye toward the future that if these players continue to play well, you can flip some different pieces in and around Luka Doncic to not only help this team win, but possibly find a big fish down the road as well. Give a lot of credit to Nico Harrison and this front office for finding creative ways to improve this roster while taking advantage of opportunities that are out there. Houston is in a transition right now where Şengün will get more opportunities to play in Houston, and now they are building themselves something down there in Houston that allows Christian Wood to be moved on to a situation where he can be utilized in a way that can make him most effective. And if that's the case, the Dallas Mavericks have hit a home run with this move. This is all that Mavericks fans have been asking for. How do you find creative ways based on what you're dealing with, because you're going to be into the luxury tax and deep into the luxury tax, and honestly, that's where you should be if you're the Dallas Mavericks, knowing what you have to compete with in the Western Conference. The arms race that's ensuing in the Western Conference for the next 3 to 4 years is going to be paramount for teams like the Mavericks who are on the cusp of competing for years to come to participate in. This is one way that you'll have to do it, knowing that you're going to be hard capped pretty much for the next couple of years. Luka Doncic's rookie max extension kicks in at the beginning of this upcoming year. Obviously, bringing back Jalen Brunson will put you further into the luxury tax. You still got Tim Hardaway Jr.'s contract on the books. Dwight Powell, who has an expiring contract, the final $11 million on his deal this upcoming season. You can see how this thing will continue to look over the next couple of years. Spencer Dinwiddie on the books as well going into this upcoming year. So decisions will have to continue to be made about how this team looks around Luka Doncic, surrounding him with high-level role players that can accentuate his strengths, but also having an eye toward how this salary cap will have to be managed in order to be in the best position to possibly take advantage of deals when they become available, just like how this one did with Christian Wood. And my favorite part of this deal when it came to the Christian Wood being acquired by the Dallas Mavericks, it was in silence. Nico Harrison moving in silence. No one saw this deal coming, and yet he took advantage of an opportunity that presented itself, and knowing that in this year's NBA draft, having the 26th overall pick, not necessarily needing to be compelled to keep it, decided to move on, and now he gets a player at 26 years of age who you're hoping will take advantage of the upside that he has, but more importantly, the culture that he's going to be playing in with the Mavericks. I don't care necessarily about some of the things. I know that he has attitude-wise and all the things that have come with some baggage when it comes to Christian Wood, but at the same time, if he buys in to the defensive mindset, the winning culture, and falls in line with what this team is trying to build, he'll be just fine. And he's in a contract year. It's important for him to show not only he can fit in, can play, learn his role with this team, but also build upon that. But he's auditioning for teams across the NBA, not just the Dallas Mavericks, and possibly staying with them for the foreseeable future. He's got a tremendous opportunity to possibly make a bunch of money elsewhere as well. And if that's the case, you should be able to get the best version of a Christian Wood who can put the ball on the deck, can be able to get to the rim. Pick and pop situations is where he thrives, and we know Luka Doncic ran more pick and pop plays than any guard in the NBA this past year. This is a perfect situation for Christian Wood to thrive in and for the Mavericks to take advantage of his skill set and to do so in a way that will hopefully allow this team to continue to flourish and stay relatively competitive in what will be an improving Western Conference this upcoming season, with everyone appearing to coming back healthy, whether it be Michael Porter Jr. and Jamal Murray for the Denver Nuggets, Kawhi Leonard and Paul George for the Los Angeles Clippers. Obviously, the Lakers are going to be trying to figure things out as they try to get back into the Western Conference with new head coach Darvin Ham. We know that the Golden State Warriors, now NBA champions, will be there as well. The Memphis Grizzlies with Ja Morant. You see what I'm talking about, and I didn't even mention the Phoenix Suns, who the Mavericks destroyed in Game 7 of the Western Semis. It's going to be an extremely competitive Western Conference this upcoming year, and the Mavericks are trying to do everything they can with the resources they have available to be in a position to compete long term. And if that's the case, as an MFFL, that should excite you about what's to come for the Dallas Mavericks. You can find me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Kevin Gray Sports. Again, my name is Kevin Gray. You can find me here on 105.3 The Fan. Also on my YouTube right here on Kevin Gray Sports, at Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Kevin Gray Sports. This has been Inside the Mavs here on Kevin Gray Sports. I'll talk to you later. Peace.